you guys doing? Matt, we figured you needed something to do over Christmas break,
right.
you know.
Yeah.
With all the football season, everything's gone, so.
He was looking forward to going home for Christmas break. You ruined that.
All right, everybody, welcome to today's Bull press conference. Head coach Sonny Cumbie. Bulldogs are taking on Army in Independence Bowl, December 28th, 8:15. Coach, you just give us an opening statement on making the bowl game and kind of give us that rundown from Friday night when you found out to now.
Well, first, I would like to say that our football team and our football program, and I think the whole university is very excited and very appreciative for the opportunity to play in the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl. I know the importance of this game for Louisiana Tech, the history that it's had in this bowl game, the history that it provides for us as a program, and the opportunity to represent North Louisiana and to represent this Louisiana Tech in the Independence Bowl. So just extremely grateful for this opportunity and really how it came about. I think that, about Friday night late, I got wind from Ryan that this might be a possibility and asked if we would want to play, and we were ecstatic. I thought if there was any team towards the end of the season, after we finished our game against Kennesaw, if there was any team that was in a situation like this, if there was a way to get in, I thought it'd be this group, just in terms of how hard our kids played and the circumstances that we had throughout the course of the year. But just very appreciative for this opportunity. And once we got the news on Friday night, everything moved quickly on Saturday, just from the standpoint of the information that was provided to us through Ryan. I'm very appreciative of Ryan and Dr. Henderson and our administration for also making this work from that standpoint. So it's a great opportunity for our football team. We practiced last night for the first time, and so I think the biggest thing and the biggest takeaway from it all is it's 2 more weeks to be together. And I think that's what I told our kids last night is that was one of the best practices that we've had. From a execution standpoint, there's a lot of things that we have to get better at, but it was the best practice we had because we were back together again. And I think this group really enjoys playing together. It gives us 2 more weeks to practice our football team, to develop guys that are coming back. And it gives us an opportunity to win 3 of our last 4 football games. It'll be a tall challenge. Army is a phenomenal team. AAC conference champs at 11-2. Coach Jeff Monken has been highly successful everywhere he's been. He's a phenomenal football coach, a great man, and you can tell by the way his team plays and how hard they play, how disciplined they are, just the reflection of the coaching that he provides for his team. But we're excited. We're looking forward to the opportunity. Again, we will practice tonight. We'll practice Friday night. It's interesting because as we transition to the winter quarter, we transitioned everything we did in the winter and spring for its early morning. And so all of our class times now are in the afternoon. And so we had to adjust in terms of it's either 6 a.m. in the morning or 6 p.m. at night in terms of our practice. And I didn't feel like our players would think that a 6 a.m. practice for bowl would be very rewarding. So we're going to 6 p.m. in terms of our meetings last night, tonight, and Friday night. And then we'll get back on the afternoon schedule on Saturday and have a full week of prep next week starting on Monday.
You kind of mentioned it, obviously, with the the timing of all this. Obviously, your roster is kind of in a state of flux right now with guys clearing for the draft and the portal. I mean, just talk about where you feel like things stand right now, specifically on the defensive line at this point. Yeah,
the defensive line, I think there's a couple of guys that went in the portal there, and then David Blaze recruitment's probably pretty heavily chronicled, and I'm really proud for David. I talked to David in our meeting last Saturday. He came back after a visit and he wanted to sit down, and we spoke for about an hour and a half, and just about his journey here from a Division II school. And the 2 years that he's been here and the development that he's had. And then now he has an opportunity to go, and play where he's going to go play. And I told him I'll help him any way I can. I'm a David Blay fan. I'm not a fan of the schools that he's going to. I'm a fan of David. And I want what's best for David and his opportunity with one season to have a chance to play and to provide an opportunity for him to continue to play his career. And so our defensive line, I think one of the things that, really every player from a senior that has moved on, has jumped at the chance to come back and play. And so they're all back in town. The band's back together. We're down a few guys on the defensive line that went in the portal, but I think that we'll make do, with the guys that we have. It's another opportunity for guys that maybe haven't played a bigger role to prove what they can do. And so I think from a roster standpoint, we're as strong as you could ask for. Offensively, really everyone's coming back. Bert Hill was dealing with a shoulder issue, so he won't be able to play in the game, but otherwise, from an offensive standpoint, defensive standpoint, we're as strong as we can be, and the guys got back together. They're all excited. They're extremely fired up to be playing in this game.
Sonny, talk a little bit about Tony Franklin and his role. Will he be calling the plays for this game? How will he fit in?
Yeah, it's a great opportunity to bring Coach Franklin back to Louisiana Tech, a place that I think means a lot to he and his wife, Laura. They've had a lot of success here on the field offensively and team-wise, but I think they love this community. They love the community of Ruston, their time here at Louisiana Tech. They look back on it fondly, and that's part of the reason why he reached out to me when this opportunity became about. Is his experience here, his yearning to get back into the game. A lot of mutual acquaintances connect the dots for us, and so excited to have Coach Franklin here. And he's involved offensively, and he's watching what's going on and has a hand in it. And as we go through towards the game, he's involved with what we're doing on offense.
So will he be calling plays for the bowl game, or what's kind of the dynamic?
Yeah, we're still
like?
working through that, as far as with our offensive staff and then with him, and just seeing, the comfort level that everybody has in terms of the offense and the verbiage and those things.
Sonny, take us behind the curtain a little bit, just the reaction of the team when you told them, hey, we got another opportunity to play a game. We got an opportunity for postseason at that.
Every kid I think that we talked to on the phone that was a senior, because most of our team on the weekend, some of the kids were down at the state championship games in New Orleans. Some of the kids had gone to Dallas, or they were, so there weren't a ton of kids that we couldn't have a team meeting per se to make the announcement. But so the first guys we got on the phone with were the seniors that left, and they thought it was like a prank call. They thought that we were jacking with them, and they were in disbelief at first, and then they're just really excited. Like I said, it's a group that's very, very excited, that's very grateful for this opportunity, and that we had a great practice last night, and so everyone's back. The guys have a lot of energy about what we're doing. A lot of these guys have never been to a bowl game, have never had a bowl experience, and so I'm looking forward to making that the best experience we can for these guys, and also, at the same time, we have a great opportunity ahead of us against a phenomenal opponent.
You mentioned Burt with the injury. Do you anticipate Colby will be able to go for this one?
Who's that?
Colby Fields.
Oh, yeah, Colby will not be going. Yeah, Colby Fields will not be going. Yeah, now he'll be out, but he'll be ready to roll for spring practice.
So as you look at your depth chart, right, and you're trying to piece this thing together, how do you? I mean, this defense obviously is kind of what carried this team this year. So is this just kind of a next man up mentality?
I think up front is really where Colby didn't play the last game. He was injured, and I think Chief Leota, 42, stepped in and played really well. Zach Zamos is back. CJ Harris is back. DGT's back. All of our safeties, Isaiah, Rod, those guys are back. We anticipate Ced Woods playing in the game, so he's back. And up front, I think you have an opportunity for Michael Clark is back. Jesse Evans is back. Christian Davis is going to have a bigger role. Zion Nason's going to be able to play. There's a couple of other guys that have had, some experience that will be able to help us on the defensive line. And so, I think that, we're largely intact now, and missing David is going to be a big piece of that defensive line, no doubt. But it's an opportunity again for Zion and Christian and a few other guys that have an opportunity. We went through the Kennesaw week, without Colby, and so guys were able to step up, and and that, I think it provides an opportunity for a Jaden Mayfield to get more practice reps, Alonzo to get more practice reps, and I think those guys, Cole Watson, to get more practice reps, and so your football team gets stronger because we know what Colby can do for our team on the field. He's provided great leadership off the field. And so from a defensive standpoint, it's a lot different challenge than anything we've ever faced this season. And so that'll be, an obstacle in itself. But, we've got, defensive line-wise, some guys that are going to have to step up for sure.
Sonny, college coaches across the country in a weird situation with the transfer portal. How do you handle it? Is it case-by-case, player-by-player basis when they enter the portal, then they come back and tell you they want to play in this game?
Absolutely. It's a case-by-case, very fluid situation. I think to have a hard and fast line of this is the way it's going to be or not, it's just very difficult. I think there's ways that you go about it, and I share this with our players from the standpoint of it's like, because everything you want to compare everything to. A lot of times it gets compared to, well, coaches can leave whenever they want, so players should have that same right. And so I just share it this way: is if an opportunity comes about for a coach and he comes to me and says, hey, this is an opportunity that's came to me. I want to go and explore it. And if it's a better opportunity for that person or that player from the standpoint of the situation that they're in, the communication is on the front end. The intentions have been made known well in advance. I'm all for it. If someone were to come to me and say, hey, I'm looking at going and interviewing at this place, and this place is not a better job than they already have, then you better take the job if you go interview for it. And so that's the kind of approach, from a player standpoint is I'm all about it. If there's communication on the front end, which we have some of the guys that, they handle it like it's hard for the kids because they're in a situation where they're faced with grown people problems and situations and things thrown at them. And so it's a learning lesson for everybody involved. And how do you handle these situations? And so that's been my message to our players is, guys, just handle it the mature way. And that's just to communicate and to come in and sit down with coach, the defensive coordinator, with Coach JJ, with your position coach and myself, and just let us know ahead of time, hey, this is what we're doing. But, when we ask you and we ask you and we ask you, and the answer is no, it's great, I love it here. And then all the while, behind the scenes, there's things going on. That's when you have an issue with it. And everybody's in this same predicament. You're right in the middle of free agency period. You're trying to get ready for the bowl game. You've got kids on campus, and now the kids are in a tough spot in terms of having to make decisions on where to go play. And so I think it's a case-by-case situation. And you'll notice we've got really 2 players that we anticipate being on the field for us, or at least traveling and playing with us on Saturday, that are in the transfer portal. But they absolutely handled it the correct way from the standpoint of their communication. They were upfront with it. And I understand on both sides of it. And that's the opportunity that you have. And then if you wanted to come and be a part of it, because they absolutely have earned their weight and their right to play in this game from what they've done for this university.
Sonny, one of the big weapons this year was Buck Buchanan, especially on kickoffs, right? You really didn't have to worry about people returning kicks. Where are you on the kicking responsibilities heading into the Indy Bowl?
Well, I'm excited about John Chance. I think John Hoyt Chance, he's left-footed, and it's interesting. He's from Captain Shreve, so he's kicked off a lot in the Independence Bowl Stadium, and I'm excited about his opportunity to get practice reps and to get game reps. He has an extremely strong leg. I think consistency is just what he's working towards. And so I think that John's going to have a great opportunity to kick off in the game and is going to do a great job for us. And I think Coach Sharp, it speaks to the Coach Sharp's recruitment and development in that room to where, you lose a guy like Buck. And I'm telling you, I'm excited to see Johnny kick it, left footer that can really boom it. I'm excited to see Drew Henderson, number 43, have an opportunity to kick field goals and PATs. And so from that standpoint, the train just keeps rolling. And I'm very appreciative of Buck and his time here and what he did for us. And 90% in terms of kicking the ball out of the end zone is a big deal. It's a big weapon, like you mentioned. And we anticipate John having that same type of success.
You mentioned the open communication with players and coaches. I'm curious, what can you tell us, I guess, at this point about Jeremiah's status? And just, I know obviously he's been linked to some jobs, and obviously, we talked a lot about with Ryan, he's a priority to bring back. Do you anticipate he'll be coaching in the bowl game next week?
I anticipate that he will, yes. Yeah. And he's been great about the things that have came his way and also the things that haven't came his way that may have been out there in terms of opportunities. And, we're the 11th best defense in the country. And for me to look at that, and our staff and our players have accomplished that. But also there's a guy that led that charge too from a defensive standpoint. And so that's going to get noticed. And so, just proud of the what we've done from a defensive standpoint. And he's here with us, and we're putting together as good a game plan as we can against the triple option and what Army does and really the problems that they pose from a defensive standpoint.
Sonny, you guys are considered, I look today, as the biggest underdog of all the bowl games. Do you tell the guys, hey, let's just embrace that role and go out there and shock the world?
Yeah, I think that there's kind of there's stages in terms of our prep from a mental and a physical standpoint. And I think that right now the stage of the prep that we're in is a little bit of knocking the rust off from a physical standpoint. We get through with school. Friday is our last day, and we'll practice Friday night and then also on Saturday afternoon. And then I think the stage of your physical prep now turns into physical and mental prep from that standpoint. And our mindset is so important, and how do we inspire and engage our guys from that standpoint. And there's probably that element of it. There's probably going to be a lot of eyes on this game and from the standpoint of how it all transpired. And so I think our guys are a very proud football team. They're going to play very hard. And so as we transition into the mental prep and our mindset, I think that, anything that we can use to enhance that, will be good.
Sonny, over the years when you've been on teams, whether as a player or a coach, and you play a military academy, I've been a part of some of those with Louisiana Tech. It always seems like it's still a competition. Both sides still want to win, but it just seems a little bit different. Just talk a little bit about playing a military academy.
Well, I think, there's Yeah, I think probably, first off, your hats off for their service and what they do for the country. And then I think secondly, football is something that they get to do, and they're very passionate, and it's very evident by watching all of the service academies and how they played. And we've had a chance to play against Navy in a bowl game before, and it was a backroom brawl. I mean, it was physical, it was down to the wire, and they're very, very tough. They're very, very disciplined, and I think that you watch them play, and it's a mature approach to what they do, and you can tell from the standpoint of how they play, just the maturity that they all have there, and I think football is something that's very important to them. But obviously, they're going to go on to be doing a lot of things in their career that it obviously will carry a lot more weight than a football game.
We're going to open it up for questions on Zoom now. If anybody has any questions. No questions on Zoom? All right, Coach.
All right, thank you guys. Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Coach.